And at number 10, Ricky Gervais. Easily the most talked about on this list was Ricky Gervais' monologue, because it was clear he was intending to shock the audience with this speech. Gervais hosted the 2020 Golden Globe Awards at a time when so many celebrities were getting into hot water, and he didn't try to shy away from any of it. This 8-minute monologue took aim at the celebrities in the audience, and it was a delight to watch to the regular people around the world. During the speech, Gervais singled out Prince Andrew, Jeffrey Epstein, and the woke Hollywood. After giving the speech on a podcast, Gervais said he asked himself beforehand, quote, "Do I pander to the 200 egos in the room or to the 200 million people watching around the world? And there's no contest." One of the main criticisms of award shows these days is that they get too political, and Gervais addressed this head-on in his speech. He told the celebrities in the audience, quote, "You're in no position to lecture the public about anything.
If you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and f*** off."
He then trashed the actors for being against harmful labor practices, but working for exploitative companies like Apple and Amazon. And at number 9, Rebel Wilson. Rebel Wilson hosted the 2022 BAFTA Film Awards, and her opening monologue was pretty controversial, dropping the jaws of many of the attendees. Rebel Wilson took the opportunity to announce that she was the next James Bond and to reveal a Daniel Craig tattoo live on stage. After announcing her role as the next Bond, she said,
"And because of the gender pay gap, I actually won't be called 007, I'll be 004.5.
During her speech, Rebel also addressed her dramatic weight loss, donning a sparkling red gown and saying, quote, "I might look a bit different from the last time you saw me here." Then adding, quote, "I hope J.K. Rowling still approves." Then continuing, "Guys, seriously, I didn't lose weight just for a guy, I did it to get more acting roles. I'm now so excited I can play the non-funny love interest in an Adam Sandler movie." She finished off the monologue by saying, quote, "In all sign languages, this is the gesture for Putin," before raising her middle finger. And at number 8, Michael Moore. After Moore won the award for his documentary Bowling for Columbine at the 2003 Oscars, he came on stage and gave one of the most hated acceptance speeches of all time. Accepting his award, Moore slammed then President George W. Bush.
"We like nonfiction and we live in fictitious times. We live in the time where we have fictitious election results, where we have a man sending us to war for fictitious reasons."
But it seemed the audience was not on board with his messaging, and he was actually getting booed loudly during the speech. Moore later said about the speech, quote, "As soon as I said fictitious times and the fictitious election results, there was a ton of sound, primarily boos. I could barely hear myself speak. It was like I had ignited a riot."
"We are against this war, Mr. Bush. Shame on you, Mr. Bush. Shame on you."
And at number 7, Sinead O'Connor. Sinead O'Connor was at the peak of her career when she was asked to perform on SNL, but the live performance did not go as planned and her statements had serious repercussions. O'Connor performed on SNL in October of 1992, but SNL was probably wishing that she didn't, because O'Connor ended the performance by holding up a picture of Pope John Paul II, ripping it up, and stating, quote, "Fight the real enemy," obviously offending millions of people in the process. The show quickly cut after they saw what happened, but the damage was already done, and tons of angry calls came in. One audience member even tried to assault O'Connor and had to be removed by security. Not only was O'Connor banned from SNL and most likely ever hosting anything again, her career never recovered. And at number 6, Angelina Jolie. This is easily Angelina Jolie's strangest moment, and I can't believe more people don't talk about how insane it was. Jolie showed up to the 2000 Academy Awards very excited for the night to come, because she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Girl Interrupted. But her time on the red carpet was a shock to everyone. She came with her brother James Haven, who she kissed on the mouth at the red carpet. Things were even stranger when she won the award and said during her speech,
"And I'm so in love with my brother right now." He just held me and said he loved me.
After the strange moment, nobody could figure out what even happened and if their relationship could potentially be romantic. Jolie later said nothing romantic happened between them, and their parents actually loved this display of affection, but it's very strange still. Halfway number 5, Kanye West. Everyone knows about this mess. Taylor Swift went up to the stage to accept her award for You Belong With Me at the 2009 MTV Video Music Awards. And before she could finish, Kanye West trashed the whole thing. He stole the mic and said to the crowd,
"Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time."
Swift was mortified, and Beyonce could not believe what was happening. Kanye later admitted on Ellen that the incident gave him so much bad publicity, he left America and stayed in Japan, Rome, and even Hawaii to let things settle down. This event also started their decade-long feud that's still ongoing. In at number 4, Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam got in some hot water when they accepted an award and didn't really care. The band got a Grammy for Best Hard Rock Performance for Spin the Black Circle. The band seemed pretty shocked about the win. I guess they assumed that someone else was going to get the award instead. Eddie Vedder said on stage,
"Well, we just came to relax. I just wanted to watch the show."
Almost like they didn't want the hassle of coming up to accept the award. They also trashed the award show in general when they said,
"I don't know what this means. I don't think it means anything."
He finished off the lukewarm speech by saying, "Thanks, I guess," to the crowd. If I was a fan of this band, I would not have been happy about that. In at number 3, Sam Smith. Things got a bit awkward when Sam Smith was a bit too self-congratulatory and claimed they were the first openly gay person to win an award when they won the 2016 Academy Award for Best Original Song for their James Bond theme, The Writing's on the Wall.
I read an article a few months ago by Sir Ian McKellen, and he said that no openly gay man had ever won an Oscar. I want to dedicate this to the LGBT community all around the world.
Many thought it was crazy that Smith wouldn't have known that legendary singers like Elton John had won the award before them. Smith was later called out for this mistake and later apologized, blaming the mistake on drinks they had beforehand. In at number 2, Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro is a very private person and he pretty rarely is outspoken about his personal beliefs. But during one accepted speech he went off the rails and offended many people watching at home. Taking the stage of the 2018 Tony Awards, he couldn't help but talk about the controversial US President Donald Trump.
I'm gonna say one thing, Trump. It's no longer down with Trump, it's Trump.
Many in the crowd cheered on this speech, but many Americans watching at home did not like how De Niro blasted the president to the entire world. This was not a huge shock to De Niro fans, as he said in the past about how awful that he thinks Trump is. It's also been reported that Trump and De Niro have only met once, so people are not sure how he was able to form such a bad opinion so fast. And finally, number 1, Seth MacFarlane. I don't think there's any way that a monologue by comedian Seth MacFarlane would not be controversial, but his 2013 speech at the Oscars took the cake. The comedian was asked to host the Academy Awards, a pretty shocking decision since this is the man responsible for Family Guy. He also likes to sing, so his monologue was a song in part. The song he performed was called, quote, "We Saw Your Boobs," and named plenty of women in the audience that had been nude for a role before, mentioning everyone from Meryl Streep to Naomi Watts. He had a choir of men singing with him about how happy they were to have seen all of their breasts. Very gross. Charlize Theron probably had the worst reaction, hiding her face in her hands when the camera panned to her. This was the tip of the iceberg. He also shared how women would give themselves the flu to prep for roles, and also made a joke about the Chris Brown and Rihanna incident. I'm sure the Oscars learned their lesson after that one. Starting off this countdown, we have Paris Hilton. In 2008, Paris Hilton was banned from attending the Oscars. She thought her 1.1 rating film The Hottie and the Naughty was big enough to land her a seat at the award show. Sadly, it wasn't. According to a source, and I quote, Paris cried hot, salty tears when she was banned from the Oscars. She's desperate to be taken seriously as an actress and hoped she would be able to network with film executives. Another source revealed that Paris and a number of other women were banned from the Oscars to prevent the evening from turning into, and I quote, down-market scrum. Not scum, scrum. That's insane. But don't feel too bad for Paris, she still managed to sneak into the after parties. Coming in at number 9, we have Pamela Anderson. Pamela Anderson was another woman banned from the Oscars in an attempt to keep it more classy. The same source as I previously mentioned said Pamela Anderson was another woman they banned to prevent the evening turning into down-market scrum. Frankly, they are scrum for doing this. The source continued on saying, and I quote, they plan to focus on those people who have worked in the film industry for years, not people who are merely celebrities in other areas. In our 8th spot, we have Morgan Wallen. American country music singer Morgan Wallen was banned from the 2021 Billboard Music Awards after a leaked video surfaced showing him using a racial slur. He was banned despite receiving 6 nominations that year. The award show announced that they were banning Morgan, and I quote, as his conduct does not align with our core values, we will not be including him on the show in any capacity. This isn't the first time he got got banned from an award show though. On February 3rd, the Academy of Country Music announced that he was not going to participate in the 56th annual award show. They said, and I quote, "The Academy does not condone or support intolerance or behavior that doesn't align with our commitment and dedication to diversity and inclusion." So it looks like Morgan is banned from a couple of award shows, and who knows if he'll ever be invited back. In our 7th spot, we have Miley Cyrus. I don't know if you noticed, but Miley Cyrus was missing from the 2020 Grammy Awards. Now, some artists chose to skip the show for their own personal reasons, but it seems like Miley just wasn't invited. On Instagram, Cyrus posted a throwback clip of her performance from the 2013 MTV VMAs. She captioned the video, "And we wonder why I'm not invited to award shows anymore." In the video, we see Cyrus light up a joint on stage and take a couple of drags. Could this be why award shows aren't inviting her? Because of her past award show behavior? Seems like it. Miley's celebrity friends were quick to like her video and post encouraging comments like, "Don't ever change," and "I'd invite you first, TBH." Honestly, Miley's just a good time. Like, let's start a petition to get her unbanned. In our 6th spot, we have Kevin Hart. Back in 2019, Kevin Hart was scheduled to be the host for the 2019 Academy Awards. However, old homophobic tweets of his from 2009 and 2011 resurfaced online, and he was immediately blasted. Just to give you an idea of how controversial his tweets were, one of them from 2011 said, and I quote, "Yo, if my son comes home and tries to play with my daughter's dollhouse, I'm going to break it over his head and say in my voice, 'Stop, that's gay.'" To make matters worse, Hart even did stand-up routines talking about how he was scared that his son was going to be gay. Now, instead of apologizing and attempting to keep his role as the host, Kevin voluntarily stepped down and said he will not apologize for his past tweets. He said he's done apologizing for them. He said, and I quote, "There's no more conversation about it. I'm over that. I'm over the moment. I'm not giving no more explanation of who I am. I'm just done." I don't think Hart will be getting an invite in the future, but who knows. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Bill Cosby. In 2018, Bill Cosby was unwelcome at the Emmys. The Academy said that they are erasing his name from the Emmys website and removing his bust display. Now, they didn't say he was officially banned from the show, they just said that he's not welcome there, which basically means you're not invited. Don't come, don't show up, we don't want you here. This is due to the fact that Bill Cosby has taken advantage of a number of women throughout the years. In our 4th spot today, we have Tekashi 6ix9ine. In 2018, Nicki Minaj was invited to perform at the MTV VMAs. She was invited to sing her song Fifi, which was originally a Tekashi 6ix9ine song featuring Nicki Minaj, but later turned into a Nicki song featuring Tekashi 6ix9ine. But Nicki Minaj didn't want to perform the song without him, so she tried her best to swing it so that he attends the MTV VMAs with her. But sadly, he never got approved by the officials. Nicki ended up revealing on one episode of Queen Radio that, and I quote, "I don't want anyone to think for a second that I wouldn't invite him to perform his hit record. I want everyone to know my character. I wanted him to perform with me at the VMAs, and somewhere along the line he didn't get approved to perform by the powers that be." In our 3rd spot, we have Ricky Gervais. If you watched the 2020 Golden Globes, then you know exactly why Ricky is on today's list. He took the opportunity as the host to make jokes about Hollywood. He called a number of people perverts and joked about serious scandals and issues in the industry. A lot of attendees were left completely shocked by his speech. And I guess so were the officials behind the Oscars. When it was time for the 93rd Academy Awards, Ricky was not invited. He poked fun at this by tweeting his speech from the Golden Globes and captioning it, "It's the Oscars tonight. I wasn't invited. Was this something I said?" Coming in at number 2, we have Marilyn Manson. Now, this one isn't that shocking considering that the Antichrist superstar has done some pretty controversial things over the years. You know, like taking a broken beer bottle and cutting himself open on stage with it, or urinating on the crowd. That alone is why he doesn't get invited to award shows. But just recently, 5 women came forward saying Marilyn was abusive towards them. One of the women was his former partner, Evan Rachel Wood. Due to these allegations, his guest star appearances in a number of shows have been removed, like American Gods and Creep Show. So if they're removing his scenes in shows, there's no way they're inviting him to any award shows. And in our number 1 spot today, we have Kevin Spacey. Back in 2017, actor Anthony Rapp claimed that when he was 14, Spacey made a sexual advancement towards him. This empowered other victims to come forward. Over the years, a number of men have come forward claiming that Kevin Spacey tried to make advancements on them or that he has taken advantage of them. Kevin Spacey is now blacklisted from Hollywood and will not be attending any award shows anytime soon.
Number 10. VMAs from 2015. 2015 VMAs were just start to finish rough. Miley Cyrus hosted that year, which was a bad idea. Not that she did a bad job, but she was in the midst of a feud with Nicki Minaj. Nicki called her out when she took to the stage to accept her Best Hip Hop award, asking her what was good. Miley had just talked trash about her in the New York Times, and there was a brief back and forth, but all in all, it could have been way worse. Oh yeah, it did get worse. On top of dropping a numerous amount of F-bombs during the show, there was a wardrobe malfunction for Miley. At one point in the show, she did a bit where she was holding part of a drape over herself while changing, but the drape slipped and revealed her bare chest to the world. No censor was able to catch it at the moment, and any footage now is of course blurred, but that's what happens when you do it live. It wasn't just Miley that caused issues. Kanye West also made a long-winded speech that was kind of a rant, kind of a truth bomb, but mostly nonsense. The speech derailed the flow of the show and was just a little peek into the madman that was being created. Oh, and to top it all off, no Beyonce, no Madonna, no Lady Gaga. Why? Number 9. Michael's birthday speech. Travel back to 2002 with me for a moment. It's just a jump to the left. It's a musical thing. On August 29th, the VMAs took place on what also happened to be Michael Jackson's birthday. In case you forgot, Michael was the Thriller guy, Macaulay Culkin's best friend. You should not forget him. In honor of Michael Jackson and in celebration, MTV threw a birthday party during the event. Britney Spears was tasked with presenting Michael and delivering his birthday cake. During his speech to set up Michael's arrival, she praised him as an incredible performer and referred to him as the artist of the millennium. Things got a little awkward when Michael took the stage and started giving a speech, thanking the audience for giving him the Artist of the Millennium award. In one of the most uncomfortable moments in MTV's history, Michael Jackson started describing his childhood and how appreciative he was for the honor being bestowed upon him. The crowd was confused but ultimately decided to play along and gave him a massive round of applause. When Michael found out about the incident, he was actually more giggly than anything else. According to his management team at the time, he thought it was hilarious and felt like the biggest fool in the world. A happy birthday indeed. Number 8, Oscar Streaker. This is by far the oldest entry on this list, dating back to 1974. During the Oscar ceremony, as the host David Niven was introducing Elizabeth Taylor, who was presenting the award for Best Picture, as he was making a speech literally referencing how the world was having a bit of a nervous breakdown and that films provided an escape from reality. A man wearing nothing but his mustache and his birthday suit ran across the stage, throws up a peace sign, and disappears off the camera. He never says a single word the entire time he's up there. After Niven had a bit of a chuckle, he told the crowd that this was bound to happen, but was it? Even in 1974, it was pretty difficult to get into the Oscars without an invitation. Robert Opel, the man with the mustache, made his way through security by posing as a journalist, and while behind the scenes, he cut a hole in a large and expensive piece of curtain that was supposed to be used for projecting images, and then made it to the other side of the stage. It was later revealed that this was actually somewhat planned, as the man was encouraged by a producer to make an appearance, and to do what he did when Niven said his lines, which was a strange and memorable moment for sure. Number 7, Miss Universe. Getting the name wrong for an award show moment is one thing, and at the Oscars, there are at least a ton of people who can share in your disappointment if that ever happens. But in 2015, Steve Harvey, the host of Family Feud, was the host of the Miss Universe pageant, bringing women from all around the globe to compete for the title of Miss Universe. As Steve went on to announce the winner, he confidently exclaimed that Miss Colombia, who was really the first runner-up, was the winner, when actually it was Miss Philippines. The mistake was not his fault though. During the rehearsal, he was only supposed to say 2 names, the runner-up and the winner, but last minute they changed it to where he had to say 3 names, which really just threw him off and created a lot of chaos. The teleprompter said 1 name, but someone in his ear told him to just read the name on the card that he was holding. Those were 2 different names, and a fumble took place. He went backstage and got told he did a great job, but then Then he was told he said the wrong name, and instead of waiting for the news to come out the next day, Steve walked back on stage, revealed he made a mistake, and to the devastation of one woman and the delight of another. He received a lot of flack for this moment, but again, not really his fault. Number 6. Moonlight mix-up. This is one of the few live TV fumbles I actually got to see happen live, and I was just as confused as the rest of the world. In 2017, at the Oscar ceremony, Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway appeared on stage to present an award for Best Film. They opened an envelope and read the name out loud. At first, Faye was a little confused, as it was later revealed that the envelope said Emma Stone La La Land because she was accidentally handed a copy of the winners from Best Actress in a leading role. Because it said La La Land, she confidently told the audience that La La Land won the Oscar. As the crew from the project flooded the stage, Warren and Faye just looked confused until the stage was overflowing with excited cast and crew ready to accept their Oscars. However, one moment later, the director of the film, Damien Chazelle, saw the envelope and addressed the audience. A mistake had been made and they didn't win. A stagehand jogged to them, just bolted across the room, handed them the real winner's name, which was Moonlight, who had won Best Picture that year, not La La Land. There is a moment of people thinking it's some kind of a joke, but the director was being very sincere. The best part of this moment, Ryan Gosling is in the background, the lead of the movie and a nominee for Best Actor, and all he is doing is trying to contain his laughter. He wasn't even upset, it was more like a "you gotta be kidding me" type deal. Something tells me that Faye and Warren won't be asked to present any awards anytime soon. Number 5, Adele Dazeem. A while back in 2014, John Travolta flubbed the name of one of the most famous women in musical theater history. At the Oscars that year, he was supposed to introduce Idina Menzel ahead of her performance of Let It Go, cause in case you didn't know, she voices Elsa. She was also Elphaba in the musical Wicked and a ton of other stuff, but I can't geek out about that right now. For this event, she was promoting the film Frozen and showcased a piece of music that became one of the most popular songs for the next 3 years. It's probably still in your head right now. He was so confident in his delivery, he introduced the audience to the wickedly talented, one and only Adele Dazeem. The moment spawned some parody Twitter accounts, and there's even an Adele Dazeem random name generator that's turned people like Jared Leto into Jed Lopez and Matthew McConaughey into Michael Mazzoline. Kind of like that one. The following year, the two appeared on stage together again, where Idina decided to drop some revenge. She was set to introduce the next round of nominees, and as a little joke, the Oscars executives decided to invite John Travolta back to team up with Adele. She introduced him by his new name, Glam Gazingo. The interaction between them seemed a little bit forced, but it was nice that they played the whole thing off as funny rather than an actual incident. Since then, John is supposed to triple check everything before he presents and has to practice pronouncing names constantly. Number 4, Will Smith versus Chris Rock. In 2022, Chris Rock was presenting at the 94th annual Oscar ceremony when he decided to make a little joke about Jada Pinkett Smith and her hair loss. Rock expressed his excitement to see her in a fictional G.I. Jane movie, and immediately following the joke, which was very funny and landed for everyone else, Rock stood in confusion because Will Smith started making his way to the stage. What's going on? Well, Will adjusted his jacket, took a firm stance, and clocked Chris right across his cheeks. He winded up his hand first to conjure the ultimate amount of force, and initially this was seen as a planned joke or something, but then Will started shouting several times at Rock to keep his wife's name out of his mouth, adding a couple F-bombs in there. Chris handled the situation pretty well, and he kept his cool, laughing it off for the camera, and he brought out the next award presenter. He was professional and was quick to get the night back on track, but unfortunately about an hour later, Will Smith won an Oscar for Best Actor in a Leading Role because he played, Richard Williams, the father of tennis superstars Venus and Serena, in a movie. But during his speech, he gave a half-hearted apology for his actions before claiming the situation was due to his months of portraying the father on set, leaving him with an extreme paternal sense to protect his family. Unfortunately for Will, the slap was enough to get him banned from the Oscars indefinitely. And on top of that, he seemingly canceled himself, now being seen as an aggressive man with no impulse control. He was fired from upcoming projects, and right now he just sits at his home polishing his one and only Oscar next to one single lit candle in the darkest room of his mega mansion. Number 3, Adrien Brody and Halle Berry. We're popping back again to 2003 at the Academy Awards, where Halle Berry presented Adrien Brody with the award for Best Actor in a Leading Role. Normally, when you accept an award like this, you walk on stage, thank the person who announced you, and give a little speech, but instead, Adrien grabbed Halle Berry's face and pulled her in close, planting one right on her. At the time, the incident was brushed off and nothing was thought of it, but a couple of years ago, Halle admitted admitted that the moment was unplanned and she had no idea what was happening. At the time, this moment was seen as comedic or just some fun between friends, but in 2023, the moment feels a lot darker and it's pretty clear that Halle was uncomfortable. Number 2, Jennifer Lawrence. This is one of the more memorable award show moments of all time that she may never live down. In 2013, while walking up the stage to accept her Oscar for Best Actress, Jennifer took a little tumble and tripped on her dress. She stood giggling for a moment, but eventually made her way to the stage. But the following year, she fell again, only this time on the red carpet, and again the next year. People started to notice a pattern and started to think that maybe she was just doing it on purpose to appear more grounded. Not some Hollywood elite who knows how to walk properly, you know? Because if you're not famous, then you can't walk straight. Those are the rules. Eventually, she got her footing down and has not made any more on-air tumbles in recent history, but we can chalk up the moments to Jen wearing a dress that was a little bit just too long and not paying attention to where she was stepping, but that's about it. And at number 1, the Kanye snub. Now, there are so many reasons that Kanye West is banned from attending another VMA show in his life, and most award shows. Now, we could chalk it up to him being a cuckoo. After all, he was fired from basically every company he worked for when he posted some pretty bad tweets that I will not get into. But the reality is that Kanye was banned in the mid-2010s following several public mishaps, as well as one onstage incident that people still talk about today. The incident took place in 2009 when Taylor Swift was trying to accept her award for Best Female Artist of the Year. Kanye stormed the stage, took the mic from her hand, and told everyone that he was gonna let her finish, but that Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time, guys. He didn't sound that nerdy, but Taylor still jokes about the incident to this day. While she was in Mexico City this year for her Eras tour, she took to the stage to play her piano and the crowd started chanting her name. She said that having someone interrupt you by chanting your name is actually the best way to be interrupted, and she should know. Kanye was issued a ban from the following year, but he has since received a lifetime ban from the VMAs and from his fame in general.